We'll now go on to the regulatory approach with Cathy Craigie.
Okay, thank you, Convener. I'll be concise and as quick as I possibly can. Can I just throw it out to the panel to see what evidence is there that the existing regulatory approach is not working and that a fully independent regulatory body separating representatives and regulatory functions is needed for the legal service market in Scotland?
As regards sort of, the actual evidence, I think the position is that it's really a question of perception. If you are trying to further the interests of your members and also the public, there is always going to be situations where there is, in some sort of tension, or one could even go as far as saying conflict between doing the two. And we feel that the best way to avoid that conflict is to have a separation of these two roles.
Certainly, Which also believes that there should be a separation in these two functions, that the system doesn't really work satisfactorily as it is. So it's not the case that we have this perfect system at the moment, and that an improvement should be made really through the separation of these functions in terms of public perception at the very least.
In your written evidence, you've made reference to that. Do you want to add anything to what's included in that written evidence?
Well, obviously, what's being proposed with the regulatory committee and the lay majority and lay chair is good news, is progress. We still feel that there should be a complete separation, but if there can't be a complete separation in Scotland, then I think that that's certainly the way forward. We also feel that the advisory committee that's being proposed should be a statutory committee. It's very important that we have that pool from really from outside the legal profession, if you will, to advise the government on future regulation on this. So we certainly do feel that that should have a lay majority and a lay chair also, and should be a statutory body. Because, of course, what's proposed at the moment is that the government will regulate the regulators, which is not an ideal position at all, I think. But if that is what's going to happen, it's very important we have a very strong advisory body.
Thank you. Could I ask what advantages for consumers would arise from having more than one approved regulator for licensed providers? And what would be the benefit of regulatory competition?
Well, competition should normally always have benefits for consumers, unless there's a particular market where there's best only to have one provider. Our position is that, as regards approved regulators, they have a very important role to perform in the way they license, and that if the actual LLSPs, if there's a demand for a choice of approved regulator, then that will hopefully also develop the number of LLSPs coming through, who can then, there'll be more of these firms available for consumers to choose from.